Welcome to another episode of the No Wires podcast, home to good sense, nonsense, and everything in between. I'm your host, 10V Jack, craziest man south of the Sahara. Now let's get into it. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, you might have seen teens, I made to believe are Mogadishu FC fans, who were charged because of desecrating the Kenyan flag during a football match in the Nyayo Stadium. And they did so by kicking it around. To be honest, I think the Kenyan flag is the most Kenyan thing I know, personally. Were they Somali Kenyans or they Kenyan Somalis? I have no clue. But they were charged nonetheless, and rightfully so. But you know what's worse than kicking around the Kenyan flag? Shooting a young Kenyan, holding up the Kenyan flag, trying to speak facts, man. So if we're going to get justice, let's get justice both ways. Am I right? But all this flag kicking at least is good for something. It makes a good transition into today's topic. So let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about the Kenyan identity, a topic rarely discussed, because for us it's the basic needs. I want food, I want a job, I want shelter. Refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't have time to understand the Kenyan identity and how it shapes the world around me socially, politically, or economically. Or do you? Mkenya ni nani? Is that a question you have ever asked yourself? If ever. What's Kenya's national identity? Do we have one? So let's have a definition to get us started. National identity is a person or a group's sense of belonging to a nation defined by shared culture, values, languages, as well as tradition. It can foster unity, solidarity, as well as collective action. Other uses are it works to ensure stability within a nation, creates a sense of pride within people, ideally inspiring people to put their nation first. We'll get to that later in the video though. So what are shared Kenyan values, traditions, icons? What's the most Kenyan thing you know? So let's have some examples first of all, and let's think about America. They have a shared history in the American Revolution as well as the American Civil War. An American is said to be proud, ambitious, working towards the American dream. You have Hollywood, you have hip-hop, you have American icons like Benjamin Franklin, John Wayne, Muhammad Ali, Albert Einstein. You have brands like Disney as well as Coca-Cola. In a nutshell, the American identity. They might have different states, but these things they can mostly agree on as well as rally around most of the time. Even think of Britain. They have a common language in the English language with different dialects in different regions. They have their mannerisms. They have the English monarchy, home to great sports like football, rugby, as well as cricket. And they also have a shared history in the English Civil War as well as English imperialism, obviously at the expense of others. You get the gist. So what about Kenya? So, do we have a national identity? No, please take your time. And let's be honest, few people have given it thought, right? But let's run the clock back kiasi. And let's think about it this way. In 1963, you have this newly independent country, with a scattered people who for centuries had only put their loyalties in their chiefs, their kingdoms, their languages, and had never at any point considered living under one single administrative power until the colonialist came along. A country whose boundaries were more or less shaped by the colonialist, a country whose name was given by the colonialist, a country encompassing several tribes which have several sub-tribes which have different cultures. A country which had no choice but to take the colonialist's constitution, a country we are now calling the KE. So here's the thing, we're a multi-ethnic country. You know what it is to be Kamba, you know what it is to be Luo, but what does it mean to be Kenyan, apart from just sharing a common territory? In the Vile Inafasho, we asked this question, and some of the common responses were Kenyan is resilient, hardworking. Those were the common responses. To the outside world, we are mostly known for marathon runners and athletics, basically. So do we have a set of national values? I'd say no. But a value I've always thought we possess, whether consciously or subconsciously, is we can be a very cynical lot. cynical of not only our own lives, but cynical of the country as well. And I welcome you to prove me otherwise, really. And a phrase I think that best captures this is Kenyans as candidates of death. A quote that, if some of you could remember, quoted by Moses Kuria. It's funny, it's cynical, it's true. And sometimes we become very gullible and desperate because of this cynicism. But sometimes this cynicism gives us the ability to scream through the BS always thrown to us by the politicians, which is a good thing in my books. But let's think about distinctly Kenyan things. I would say the flag, I would say Sheng, I would say Gengeton, kama bado iko. I would say Kipiegon, I would say Wangari Maathai, I would say the KICC building, I would say Octopizo, I would say the Kenyatta family, I would say Kifaru Kubwa, I would say Mumia's Sugar, kama bado iko. And the question is, are you proud of these things really? Do you think about them, if ever? But along this line of thinking, a thought occurred to me. Stereotypes. You know, the stereotype that Kikuyus love mashakura and soup in almost all of their dishes. The stereotype that Luos are too proud and borderline arrogant, and at the same time love reading as well as education, basically. The stereotype that Kambas are too mild and too soft-spoken. To what degree you believe in these stereotypes doesn't really matter, but there is always a nugget of truth. Regardless, what if I could suggest that the ideal Kenyan each one of us could strive to be is one who possesses the strengths and the best parts of each tribe. Kyuks na India entrepreneurial. We all need that, basically. Luos love books. Luyas are hard workers. Kambas are welcoming, and the list goes on. Every tribe has a strength, right? Those could be our values. Think about it. But then again, local cultures are being worn down by foreign cultures. Let's not lie to ourselves. Globalization in effect. How long do our cultures, tribes, and languages really have before they become more extinct than dinosaurs? You see the cynicism. But as a nation, we're only over 60 years old, and we're still trying to figure ourselves out, trying to enhance our national consciousness, trying to seek our unifying national values, and basically see what it means to be a Kenyan. So here's a question for you. Is it practical to say build Kenya, buy Kenya? We said that the awareness of one's national identity fortifies one's sense of patriotism, and becoming a proud Kenya, you would want to put Kenya first. Emphasis on the word would. Do you want jobs in Kenya? Of course you do. If we imported less and consumed more of our own local goods, then jobs for both the manufacturers and the farmers would be secured. But is that the case? Not even close. And our twisted bottom-up, cross your fingers, hope for the best and inshallah sideways facing economic models aren't helping either. This is how we think. Why should I buy expensive rice from a farmer, say in Ahero, when I could get cheaper rice from TZ, Thailand, or China? Why should I buy expensive Mumia sugar when I could get it for cheap from Uganda? Why should I buy maize from my own local farmers when I can get it for cheap from either Brazil or Zambia? Electric power from UG, same thing. But you get the gist now. We're trying to feed ourselves the basic needs, and there's no problem with that really. There's no time to weigh the social, moral, and economic consequences of your purchasing choices. There just isn't. But obviously that makes creating jobs in the KE sound very impractical, don't you think? And this is a dilemma that has existed within our nation and will continue to exist unless change happens. So get your ID out and get to your local voter registration booth, man. Please. In conclusion, think about it. I think this elusive national identity will only be articulated with time. And as tribal divides fade away, maybe Gen Z will be the pioneers of a new society, a new Kenya. Otherwise, that's all we had time for. Thanks for sticking around. But what did you think about that rambling? Did any of it make sense? What are your thoughts on the matter? Please comment below. We'd like to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm 10V Jack. Until next time, Stay honest.